Have you ever walked into a room full of strangers and felt an inexplicable pull toward one particular person, as if some invisible thread connected your souls across time and space? Or perhaps you found yourself standing in a place you've never visited before, yet every corner, every shadow, every stone feels achingly familiar, like coming home to a memory you can't quite grasp. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. These moments of instant recognition, these flashes of déjà vu that send shivers down your spine, aren't coincidences or tricks of the mind. What you're about to discover might surprise you, but according to America's most documented psychic, Edgar Cayce, these experiences are actually windows into something far more profound than most people realize. They're glimpses of your soul's ancient memories, breaking through the carefully constructed veil that separates your current consciousness from the vast tapestry of your previous incarnations. Has this ever happened to you? That moment when you meet someone and within seconds, you feel like you've known them for lifetimes? The conversation flows effortlessly. There's an understanding that transcends words, and something deep within you whispers, "I know this soul." Edgar Cayce, who gave over 14,000 documented psychic readings throughout his remarkable lifetime, revealed that these aren't random encounters at all. They're orchestrated reunions between souls who have chosen to journey together across multiple lifetimes, playing different roles in each other's spiritual evolution. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. And stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share will completely transform how you understand your deepest fears, your unexplained talents, and those mysterious connections that seem to defy all logic. Cayce's readings unveiled a shocking truth that even challenged his own deeply held Christian beliefs. We do remember our past lives, but not in the way most people think. The forgetting isn't an accident or a flaw in the cosmic design. It's actually a carefully orchestrated mechanism of divine love and wisdom, created to allow your soul to approach each new incarnation with fresh hope and unlimited potential. Imagine if you could remember every death you'd experienced, every heartbreak across centuries, every mistake that had caused suffering. You might be too overwhelmed by the weight of the past to embrace the growth opportunities of the present. Yet something extraordinary happens in the space between remembering and forgetting. While the specific details of your past incarnations remain veiled from your conscious mind, the wisdom you've earned, the love you've learned to express, and the spiritual insights you've developed continue to flow through your current existence like an underground river of consciousness. This is why some people seem naturally wise beyond their years, why certain individuals demonstrate remarkable compassion despite having lived relatively comfortable lives, and why you might find yourself inexplicably drawn to particular time periods, cultures, or spiritual practices. What you're experiencing in those moments of soul recognition isn't just imagination or wishful thinking. According to Cayce's extensive research into the nature of consciousness and reincarnation, these are authentic glimpses of your eternal journey, carefully timed to surface when your spiritual development is ready to benefit from such profound understanding. The question isn't whether you've lived before. The evidence suggests that's almost certain. The real question is why these memories remain hidden, how they influence your current life in ways you've never considered, and most importantly, how you can begin to recognize and work with these soul-level patterns to accelerate your spiritual growth in this lifetime. What Cayce discovered about the mechanics of memory, the purpose of forgetting, and the intricate ways our past incarnations shape our present reality will challenge everything you thought you knew about consciousness itself. The transformation in Edgar Cayce's understanding didn't happen overnight. Picture this. It's 1923, and Cayce, a devout Christian man who had spent years giving medical readings to help people heal their physical ailments, found himself face to face with a revelation that would shake the very foundation of his beliefs. Arthur Lamers, a wealthy printer from Ohio, had been persistent in his requests for Cayce to explore something beyond the familiar territory of medical guidance. What emerged from that session would become one of the most significant turning points in the study of consciousness and reincarnation. As Cayce entered his trance state that day, Expecting perhaps another routine health reading, something unprecedented began to unfold. Detailed descriptions of past incarnations started flowing through his consciousness, complete with specific names, dates, and karmic connections that painted an intricate picture of souls journeying through multiple lifetimes. The impact of this reading was so profound that it forced Cayce to confront a hidden truth that challenged everything he thought he knew about spiritual reality. But here's where the real revelation begins to reshape our understanding of consciousness itself. What shocked everyone present, including Cayce himself, wasn't just the detailed accuracy of these past life descriptions. It was the underlying principle that emerged about why we can't consciously access these memories. The reading revealed that this forgetting mechanism isn't some cosmic oversight or limitation of human consciousness. Instead, it represents one of the most sophisticated aspects of spiritual design, carefully orchestrated to serve our highest good. Think about the decisions you make every single day. Now imagine if your mindset was constantly influenced by the weight of every mistake, every traumatic ending, every moment of suffering you'd experienced across centuries of existence. Your journey toward growth and transformation would become nearly impossible under such overwhelming psychological burden. The divine intelligence behind our spiritual evolution recognized this fundamental challenge and created what we might call a merciful veil of forgetfulness. This hidden truth about memory reveals something beautiful about the nature of our spiritual journey. While the specific details of our past incarnations remain behind the scenes of our conscious awareness, the wisdom we've earned, the love we've learned to express, and the spiritual insights we've developed continue to influence our current existence in profound ways. It's like having access to an enormous library of experience without being crushed by the weight of every painful chapter. The revelations that emerged from that pivotal 1923 reading showed Cayce that souls actually choose this selective memory before incarnating, working with spiritual guides to determine exactly how much past life information would be helpful rather than harmful for their current mission. This conscious choice represents the ultimate act of self-love and spiritual wisdom. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because what Cayce discovered next will completely change how you understand those unexplained talents you possess, those inexplicable fears that seem to have no basis in your current life experiences, and those instant connections you feel with certain people who cross your path. Write in the comments, "This makes sense to me," if you're starting to see how this spiritual design might be working in your own life. The evidence for this hidden truth becomes even more compelling when we examine how children naturally access these soul memories before our adult world reshapes their understanding of reality. Have you ever been amazed by a 3-year-old who speaks with startling accuracy about places they've never visited, or demonstrates knowledge that seems impossible given their limited life experience? These moments offer us a rare glimpse behind the scenes of consciousness itself, revealing how the veil of forgetfulness gradually descends as we mature. What Cayce discovered through his readings was that children often arrive in this world with their soul memories still intact, like travelers who haven't yet unpacked their spiritual luggage. Their young minds haven't been conditioned by the rational limitations that adults accept as reality, allowing authentic past life experiences to surface naturally through their dreams, play, and spontaneous conversations. The transformation from remembering to forgetting isn't an automatic biological process. It's actually something we inadvertently teach them through our well-meaning adult responses. Consider the profound impact of this revelation. Every time we dismiss a child's seemingly impossible story as just imagination, we're participating in the gradual erasure of their soul's authentic memories. This mindset shift happens so gradually that neither the child nor the adults around them recognize the spiritual treasure being lost in the name of rational thinking. One of the most documented cases from Cayce's readings illustrates this process with heartbreaking clarity. A young boy had been experiencing recurring nightmares about drowning that were so vivid and terrifying they disrupted his entire family's life. Night after night, he would wake up screaming about being trapped underwater, describing details of a sinking ship that no child his age should have been able to imagine. The fear in his voice, the specific maritime terminology he used, and the consistent details across multiple episodes suggested something far more significant than typical childhood nightmares. When his desperate parents brought this case to Cayce, the reading revealed that these weren't nightmares at all. They were authentic memories from a previous incarnation where the boy had perished in a shipwreck. His soul was still processing the trauma of that death, and the memories were surfacing during sleep when his conscious mind's defenses were down. But here's where the story takes a crucial turn that reveals how our decisions as adults shape children's spiritual development. The parents, operating from the best of intentions and following conventional wisdom, repeatedly assured their son that these experiences weren't real and were just bad dreams. They applied logical explanations, offered rational comfort, and gradually convinced the child to dismiss his own authentic spiritual experiences. Within months, something profound had happened. The vivid memories began to fade, replaced by the adult world's rational explanations about overactive imagination and normal childhood fears. This transformation represents a microcosm of what happens to most of us before we reach age 7. Our natural connection to soul memory gets systematically replaced by societal conditioning that prioritizes rational thinking over spiritual awareness. The journey from remembering to forgetting becomes a rite of passage that we don't even realize we're experiencing. Now, what makes this discovery even more fascinating is how these early soul memories leave traces that continue to influence us throughout our lives, even after the conscious memories have been buried under layers of rational conditioning. Write in the comments, "I remember," if you've ever had childhood experiences that felt mysteriously real but couldn't be explained. These traces of forgotten soul memories operate according to a precise spiritual timeline that Cayce's readings revealed with remarkable consistency. The transformation from natural soul awareness to rational consciousness doesn't happen randomly. It follows a deliberate pattern that peaks around the age of 7. This isn't coincidental timing. It represents a crucial developmental threshold where children become fully integrated into their current lifetime's reality and social expectations. Think about the decisions your 7-year-old self made about what was real versus what adults told you was just imagination. This age marks the point where most children unconsciously choose to prioritize fitting into the adult world over maintaining their connection to soul memories. The impact of this shift extends far beyond simple childhood development. It represents the moment when the veil of forgetfulness becomes fully operational, effectively sealing off conscious access to past life experiences. But here's where this spiritual design reveals its true sophistication, and this hidden truth will completely reshape your understanding of personal growth and transformation. While the specific details of past incarnations fade from conscious awareness, something far more valuable remains completely intact. Your soul operates with incredible wisdom in determining what gets forgotten versus what gets permanently integrated into your current existence. The journey your soul takes between lifetimes involves making precise decisions about which memories serve your highest good and which ones might hinder your spiritual progress. Imagine having access to a vast library of experiences, spanning centuries, and being able to selectively choose which books remain on the shelf versus which wisdom gets woven directly into the fabric of your current mindset and capabilities. This selective retention process explains why certain people seem to possess natural talents that appear almost magical in their effortless expression. That friend who sits down at any piano and intuitively creates beautiful music despite never having formal training, or the child who demonstrates advanced mathematical concepts that weren't taught in their current education. These abilities represent soul wisdom that survived the forgetting process because they serve the person's spiritual mission in this lifetime. The same principle applies to emotional patterns and interpersonal skills that seem to transcend normal learning curves. Someone who naturally knows how to comfort others in grief, a person who instinctively understands complex relationship dynamics, or individuals who demonstrate remarkable leadership abilities despite limited experience. These capabilities often represent wisdom earned through multiple lifetimes of learning and growth. What makes this revelation even more profound is understanding that the lessons and growth patterns we develop across incarnations become so deeply integrated into our soul's essence that they operate behind the scenes of our conscious awareness, influencing our choices, reactions, and natural inclinations without us even realizing their ancient origins. The transformation that occurs during childhood isn't about losing something valuable. It's about completing a sophisticated spiritual process that allows unlimited potential to emerge through a fresh perspective while still having access to all the wisdom your soul has accumulated throughout its eternal journey. Now, this brings us to something truly extraordinary about how these soul memories continue to influence your daily life in ways that most people never recognize, creating patterns and synchronicities that serve as breadcrumbs leading back to your spiritual heritage. Write in the comments, "Soul Wisdom," if you're beginning to recognize talents or abilities in yourself that seem to come from somewhere deeper than this lifetime. These breadcrumbs of soul wisdom become even more remarkable when you understand the sophisticated mechanism behind why forgetting serves our highest good. Cayce offered a brilliant analogy that transforms how we view this entire process, comparing our spiritual journey to progressing through different grade levels in school. Picture yourself walking into class every morning with complete, vivid recall of every test you failed in kindergarten, every embarrassing moment from second grade, every struggle and setback from previous academic years flooding your consciousness simultaneously. The overwhelming weight of those accumulated experiences would make it nearly impossible to focus on the new material you're meant to learn in your current grade. Your mindset would be so cluttered with past failures and traumas that approaching fresh challenges with confidence and enthusiasm would become virtually impossible. This hidden truth about memory reveals why spiritual forgetting represents one of the most compassionate aspects of our soul's design rather than a limitation or flaw. The decisions your soul makes about memory retention operate through what Cayce discovered was called the veil of forgetfulness, a sophisticated filtering system created through collaboration between your higher self and spiritual guides. This isn't some arbitrary cosmic curtain that randomly blocks information. It's a precisely calibrated mechanism designed to optimize your spiritual growth potential in each incarnation. But here's where this revelation becomes truly fascinating and reveals the extraordinary intelligence behind our spiritual evolution. This veil isn't a solid barrier that completely separates you from your past life experiences. Instead, it functions more like a carefully designed membrane with deliberate gaps and openings that allow specific memories to surface exactly when they're most needed for your spiritual development. Think about the transformation this creates in how you approach life's challenges. Instead of being overwhelmed by the accumulated pain and trauma of multiple lifetimes, you get to experience the gift of approaching each situation with fresh eyes and unlimited potential, while still having access to the deep wisdom and strength your soul has developed through centuries of growth and learning. The impact of this sophisticated system becomes evident in those moments when past life insights break through at precisely the right time. That sudden understanding about why you're drawn to certain healing practices, the inexplicable knowledge that emerges during a crisis, or the instant recognition of a solution to a problem you've never consciously encountered before, these represent the veil's intentional gaps, allowing your soul's accumulated wisdom to guide you. Your spiritual guides work behind the scenes to monitor your current life circumstances and determine when specific past life information would be helpful rather than overwhelming. This creates a dynamic, responsive system that adapts to your changing needs and spiritual readiness throughout your lifetime. The journey of remembering isn't about forcing dramatic past life visions or regression experiences. Instead, it's about recognizing how your soul's ancient wisdom naturally surfaces through your intuition, natural talents, and those mysterious moments of knowing that seem to come from somewhere deeper than conscious thought. Now, this brings us to something that will completely change how you interpret those recurring dreams that feel more real than your waking life, and why your physical body might be carrying messages from incarnations you've consciously forgotten. Write in the comments, "Fresh perspective," if you're starting to see how this spiritual design might be protecting and empowering you simultaneously. These messages from your soul's ancient journey manifest in ways that most people never suspect, transforming your physical body into a living library of experiences that span lifetimes. What Cayce discovered through his readings revealed a hidden truth that completely reframes how we understand chronic conditions, unexplained physical ailments, and those mysterious marks we carry from birth. Your body isn't just a vessel for this lifetime's experiences. It's actually a sophisticated recording system that carries forward the most significant impacts from your soul's entire evolutionary journey. Think about the decisions your soul makes when preparing for a new incarnation. Sometimes certain experiences are so profound, so transformative, or require such deep healing that your soul chooses to bring physical reminders into your current lifetime. These aren't punishments or random occurrences. They represent your soul's wisdom in creating opportunities for continued healing and spiritual growth. One of the most compelling cases from Cayce's documented readings illustrates this principle with startling clarity. A woman came to him seeking understanding about a distinctive birthmark located just below her left breast. This wasn't just a cosmetic concern. Something about this mark had always felt deeply significant to her, creating an inexplicable emotional response whenever she looked at it or thought about its presence. When Cayce entered his trance state and accessed her soul's records, the revelation was both shocking and illuminating. The birthmark marked the exact location where she had been stabbed to death in a previous incarnation. But the story becomes even more extraordinary when we learn that her current lifetime's husband also carried a corresponding mark on his body. These two souls had been murdered together in that previous life, and both had chosen to carry physical reminders of that shared trauma into their present incarnation. This discovery reveals something profound about the behind-the-scenes coordination that occurs between souls who journey together across lifetimes. The mindset shift required to understand this level of spiritual planning challenges everything we typically believe about random circumstances and coincidental relationships. These weren't just two people who happened to meet and fall in love. They were souls who had deliberately chosen to reunite, carrying physical evidence of their shared history written directly into their bodies. The impact of recognizing these physical connections extends far beyond intellectual understanding. When we begin to see our bodies as repositories of soul memory, chronic conditions and unexplained ailments take on entirely new meaning. That persistent pain in your lower back, the unexplained sensitivity in certain areas of your body, or the birthmarks you've carried since childhood might represent your soul's ongoing process of integrating and healing experiences from previous lifetimes. This revelation transforms how we approach physical healing, moving beyond purely medical explanations to embrace a more holistic understanding that includes the spiritual dimension of our existence. Your body becomes a partner in your soul's evolutionary journey, rather than just a biological machine that occasionally breaks down. Now, what makes this discovery even more remarkable is understanding how these physical memories work, in conjunction with another powerful pathway through which past life experiences surface, the realm of dreams where your conscious mind steps aside and allows your soul's ancient wisdom to emerge. Write in the comments, body wisdom, if you've ever felt that certain physical conditions or marks on your body might carry deeper significance than medical explanations alone can provide. This deeper understanding of physical memory creates extraordinary possibilities for healing that extend far beyond conventional medical approaches. What Cayce discovered through countless documented cases was that persistent physical conditions often represent your soul's ongoing attempt to process and resolve traumas from previous incarnations. The transformation that occurs when people recognize these connections isn't just intellectual. It often leads to profound physical healing that seems impossible through traditional medical explanations alone. The journey toward this type of healing requires a fundamental mindset shift about the relationship between consciousness and physical health. When someone understands that their chronic condition might be their soul's way of working through ancient trauma, their entire approach to healing changes. Instead of feeling like a victim of random physical breakdown, they begin to see their condition as a sacred opportunity for spiritual resolution and growth. The impact of this revelation becomes evident in case after case from Cayce's archives. People who had suffered for years with unexplained conditions suddenly found relief when they understood the past life origins of their physical challenges. This wasn't about magical thinking or denying the reality of physical symptoms. It was about addressing the spiritual dimension of healing that conventional medicine often overlooks. But the hidden truth about accessing soul memories goes even deeper than physical manifestations. While your body serves as a repository of past life experiences, your dreams provide the most direct pathway to actively accessing these hidden memories. During sleep, something extraordinary happens behind the scenes of your consciousness. The rational mind that works so hard during waking hours to maintain logical explanations and dismiss impossible experiences finally steps aside, allowing your soul memory to become fully active. Think about those dreams you've had that felt more real than your waking life. The ones where you found yourself in historical periods you've never studied, speaking languages you don't know, or navigating landscapes that felt hauntingly familiar despite being completely foreign to your current existence. These aren't random neural firings or meaningless psychological processing. They represent authentic glimpses into your soul's vast library of experiences. The transformation in how we understand dreams changes everything about their significance in our spiritual development. Instead of dismissing vivid historical dreams as imagination or meaningless subconscious activity, we can begin to recognize them as valuable communications from our deeper selves. Your soul uses the dream state as a safe space to share information that might be too overwhelming or disruptive for your conscious mind to process during waking hours. The decisions your soul makes about which memories to share through dreams are incredibly precise and purposeful. These revelations don't emerge randomly. They surface when your spiritual development is ready to benefit from specific insights, or when current life challenges could be illuminated by understanding their deeper origins. Now, this brings us to one of the most documented and compelling examples of dream-based past life memory that demonstrates exactly how these soul communications work and why they emerge at precisely the right moments in our spiritual journey. Write in the comments, dream memories, if you've ever had dreams so vivid and historically detailed that they felt like authentic memories rather than imagination. This precise timing of soul communication becomes beautifully illustrated through a documented case from the Association for Research and Enlightenment archives that demonstrates how past life memories emerge exactly when they serve our highest purpose. A woman had been experiencing recurring dreams for months, where she found herself as a young man working as a scribe in ancient Egypt. These weren't vague, symbolic dreams that required interpretation. They were incredibly detailed experiences where she could remember specific hieroglyphs, architectural features of temples, and even the texture of papyrus beneath her fingers as she worked. The transformation in her understanding came when she realized these dreams felt more authentic than many of her waking experiences. She could recall precise details about ancient Egyptian writing techniques that she had never studied, architectural elements that weren't commonly known, and daily routines that seemed to emerge from somewhere deeper than imagination. The impact of these dreams was so profound that she eventually sought guidance from Edgar Cayce to understand their significance. When Cayce accessed her soul's records, he confirmed what she had begun to suspect. These weren't dreams at all, but authentic memories from a past incarnation where she had indeed served as a scribe in an Egyptian's temple. The hidden truth revealed through this reading explained something that had puzzled her throughout her current lifetime: her inexplicable talent for languages and her natural understanding of ancient history that seemed to come from nowhere. This case reveals the sophisticated behind-the-scenes coordination that governs how soul memories surface to support our current life's purpose. Her linguistic abilities and historical insights weren't random gifts. They were carryovers from skills developed and refined in that ancient Egyptian incarnation, carefully preserved by her soul because they would serve her spiritual mission in this lifetime. But what makes this discovery even more extraordinary is understanding that these aren't isolated individual journeys. The decisions souls make about incarnation involve intricate coordination with other souls who share similar spiritual goals and learning objectives. Cayce's readings consistently revealed that we don't randomly reincarnate with strangers. We travel in what he called soul groups, carefully orchestrated spiritual families that choose to incarnate together lifetime after lifetime. The mindset shift required to understand this level of spiritual planning challenges everything we typically believe about coincidental relationships and chance encounters. That instant connection you feel with certain people, the friend who understands you without words, even the family member you constantly clash with despite your best efforts. These represent souls you've been working with across multiple incarnations, playing different roles to help each other master spiritual lessons and resolve karmic patterns. The journey of recognition becomes even more meaningful when you realize that every significant relationship in your life likely represents a reunion with souls you've chosen to work with repeatedly. Each incarnation offers new opportunities to transform competitive patterns into cooperation, heal old wounds, and develop deeper levels of love and understanding. Now, this brings us to one of the most compelling aspects of soul group dynamics, and how understanding these eternal connections can completely transform your approach to the challenging relationships in your current life. Write in the comments, soul family, if you've ever felt that certain people in your life seem to be much more than random encounters or coincidental meetings. These challenging relationships often carry the most profound opportunities for spiritual transformation, precisely because they represent unfinished business between souls who have chosen to continue their growth journey together. The hidden truth about difficult relationships completely reframes how we approach conflict and misunderstanding in our current lives. Instead of seeing certain people as obstacles or sources of frustration, we can begin to recognize them as spiritual partners who have agreed to help us master lessons that our souls have been working on for lifetimes. The impact of this perspective shift becomes evident when we examine specific cases from Cayce's readings that illustrate how karmic patterns carry forward between incarnations. One particularly compelling example involved a mother and daughter whose relationship was characterized by constant conflict despite their genuine love for each other. No matter how hard they tried to get along, they found themselves locked in competitive dynamics that seemed to emerge from nowhere and escalate beyond reason. The decisions both women made to seek spiritual understanding about their relationship revealed something extraordinary about the behind-the-scenes coordination that governs soul group dynamics. When Cayce accessed their soul records, he discovered that these weren't random family members struggling with typical generational differences. They were souls who had been sisters in ancient Greece, where they had competed bitterly over the same man, creating deep wounds and resentment that had never been fully healed. The transformation in their understanding came when they realized that their current lifetime conflict wasn't really about present-day issues at all. The competitive energy, the inexplicable triggers, and the intensity of their emotional reactions all stemmed from ancient patterns that their souls were still working to resolve. This revelation created a profound mindset shift that allowed them to approach their relationship from an entirely different perspective. What makes this case so remarkable is how understanding the past life origin of their conflict opened up possibilities for conscious healing that hadn't existed before. Instead of continuing to unconsciously repeat the same competitive patterns that had caused pain in ancient Greece, they now had the awareness and tools to make different choices. Their souls had orchestrated this mother-daughter relationship specifically to provide an opportunity to transform rivalry into mutual support and understanding. The journey of healing these ancient wounds required both women to step beyond their immediate emotional reactions and recognize the larger spiritual purpose of their challenging dynamic. Each conflict became an opportunity to choose cooperation over competition, understanding over judgment, and love over the fear-based patterns that had kept them trapped in cycles of hurt across lifetimes. This type of conscious relationship healing represents one of the most powerful aspects of soul group work, where understanding past life connections becomes a catalyst for creating entirely new patterns of interaction that serve both souls' highest evolution. Now, this brings us to something even more profound about how recognizing these eternal connections can actually accelerate your spiritual growth and allow you to consciously participate in healing karmic patterns that might otherwise take many more lifetimes to resolve. Write in the comments, healing patterns, if you're beginning to see how understanding past life connections might transform your approach to challenging relationships in your current life. This accelerated spiritual growth becomes possible when you shift from unconscious repetition of old patterns to conscious spiritual collaboration with the souls in your life. The transformation that occurs when people understand their karmic connections goes far beyond intellectual recognition. It creates genuine opportunities to heal wounds that have persisted across multiple lifetimes and establish entirely new foundations for spiritual evolution together. The decisions you make once you recognize these eternal connections carry extraordinary power to break cycles that might otherwise continue for many more incarnations. Think about the impact of approaching a difficult relationship with the understanding that this person has agreed to help you master specific spiritual lessons. Instead of reacting from hurt or frustration, you can choose to respond from a place of appreciation for their willingness to participate in your mutual growth, even when that participation feels challenging. This mindset shift doesn't mean accepting harmful behavior or abandoning healthy boundaries. Rather, it means recognizing the spiritual opportunity hidden within interpersonal difficulties and making conscious choices that serve your highest evolution rather than perpetuating ancient patterns of conflict. The journey of conscious, karmic healing allows you to become an active participant in your spiritual development rather than an unconscious victim of circumstances. But here's where Cayce's teachings reveal a crucial hidden truth about the timing and appropriateness of past life information. Not everyone is ready for these revelations, and spiritual wisdom includes understanding when such knowledge would be helpful versus when it might be overwhelming or misused. The behind-the-scenes coordination that governs soul memory access operates according to precise spiritual maturity requirements that protect us from information we're not yet equipped to handle constructively. Cayce consistently emphasized that past life memories should only surface when we've developed the spiritual framework necessary to use such knowledge for genuine growth rather than ego enhancement or entertainment. The revelations about who you might have been in previous incarnations matter far less than how you choose to apply whatever wisdom you've gained in your current daily decisions and interactions. This principle transforms how we approach the entire concept of past life exploration. Instead of seeking dramatic stories about famous historical figures or exotic ancient civilizations, the focus shifts to recognizing how your soul's accumulated wisdom can guide you toward greater kindness, deeper understanding, and more conscious choices in the present moment. The impact of remembering that you spoke unkindly to someone centuries ago only becomes spiritually valuable if it motivates you to choose compassion in your current relationships. The transformation in perspective that comes with spiritual maturity allows past life information to serve its highest purpose, not as fascinating entertainment about your eternal identity, but as practical guidance for expressing more love and wisdom in your everyday existence. Now, this brings us to the specific method that Cayce recommended for safely accessing past life memories when you're spiritually ready to receive them, and why this approach protects you from information that could be harmful rather than helpful. Write in the comments, spiritual readiness, if you're beginning to understand how past life awareness should serve your current growth rather than satisfy curiosity about your ancient identity. This protective guidance system operates through what Cayce described as careful monitoring by our souls and spiritual guides, who maintain constant awareness of our current spiritual development and emotional capacity. The decisions about which past life information surfaces aren't random or accidental. They represent conscious choices made by your higher self in collaboration with spiritual guides, who understand exactly what knowledge would serve your growth versus what might overwhelm or distract you from your current life's purpose. This behind-the-scenes coordination explains why some people naturally receive past life insights, while others struggle to access any memories at all. The hidden truth isn't that some individuals are more spiritually gifted than others, but rather that each soul's journey includes precisely the information and experiences needed for their current level of development. Your spiritual guides work continuously to ensure that revelations about past incarnations emerge only when you're equipped to integrate them constructively. The method Cayce recommended for safely accessing this soul-level understanding reflects this same protective principle. Rather than encouraging forced techniques or dramatic regression experiences, he emphasized a gentle approach that begins with meditation, combined with prayer for spiritual guidance. This process creates a sacred space where your conscious mind can step aside while maintaining protection from spiritual sources you can trust. The transformation that occurs through this method isn't about demanding specific information or trying to force dramatic visions of past lives. Instead, it involves entering a meditative state and asking for protection and guidance from the highest spiritual sources before opening yourself to receive whatever understanding would be most helpful for your current spiritual growth. This approach ensures that any insights you receive come through the same filtering system that protects you from overwhelming or potentially harmful information. The impact of this careful approach becomes evident in how naturally and gently authentic past life information tends to surface when you're truly ready to receive it. Instead of struggling to manufacture exciting visions or exotic historical scenarios, you simply hold the intention to understand current life challenges or patterns from a soul perspective, trusting that the right information will emerge at the right time. The journey of accessing soul memory through this protected method often brings insights through dreams, sudden understanding during quiet moments, or meaningful synchronicities that provide exactly the perspective you need to make more conscious choices in your present circumstances. This organic unfolding respects your spiritual readiness while honoring the wisdom of your soul's evolutionary process. The decisions you make to approach past life exploration with this level of spiritual protection and humility create space for authentic revelations that serve your highest good rather than feeding curiosity or ego desires for dramatic spiritual experiences. Now, what makes this approach even more significant is understanding why some people seem to have natural access to past life memories while others find these experiences completely elusive, and how this relates to the spiritual maturity and development level of individual souls. Write in the comments, "Protected guidance," if you're drawn to approaching soul memory exploration with this kind of spiritual safety and wisdom, rather than forcing dramatic experiences. This natural flow of soul information reveals something profound about the spiritual mechanics that govern memory access across different individuals. The transformation in understanding comes when we realize that the ability to consciously remember past lives isn't a random gift or spiritual talent. It's directly related to how many lifetimes a soul has experienced and the level of spiritual development they've achieved through their eternal journey. Think about the decisions your soul made when choosing this current incarnation, and how much past life awareness would actually serve your growth versus potentially overwhelm your capacity for spiritual integration. Newer souls, those who haven't had many Earth incarnations, often have limited conscious access to past life memories because they lack the spiritual framework necessary to process such profound information constructively. This isn't about being less evolved or spiritually inferior. It's about honoring where each soul is in their individual developmental process. The hidden truth about soul age explains why some people seem naturally drawn to metaphysical concepts, meditation practices, and spiritual studies while others show no interest at all. More experienced souls who have developed wisdom through many lifetimes often demonstrate greater access to their soul memories because they've built the emotional and spiritual infrastructure needed to use such information for continued growth, rather than getting lost in past drama or ego enhancement. This revelation transforms how we understand spiritual curiosity and metaphysical interests. That inexplicable pull you feel toward certain spiritual practices, your natural understanding of concepts that others find confusing, or your ability to grasp complex spiritual principles without extensive study. These often indicate a soul who has been working with these ideas across multiple incarnations. The impact of recognizing different levels of soul development creates compassion for the varying spiritual interests and capacities we observe in different people. Someone who seems completely uninterested in past life concepts isn't being stubborn or close-minded. Their soul may simply be focused on mastering other lessons that are more appropriate for their current level of spiritual evolution. Behind the scenes of your conscious awareness, your soul continuously evaluates whether past life information would enhance your current growth or create unnecessary confusion and distraction. The journey of spiritual development includes naturally developing greater access to soul memories, as your capacity for handling such profound information expands through lived experience and spiritual practice. This understanding also explains why forced approaches to past life recall often produce unsatisfying results, while gentle, patient openness to natural revelation tends to bring authentic insights that feel deeply meaningful and practically applicable to current life circumstances. Now, what makes this discovery even more practical and empowering is understanding how you can use present life clues to recognize past life influences without needing dramatic regression experiences, and how these patterns manifest in ways that are accessible to everyone, regardless of their soul's age or development level. Write in the comments, "Soul development," if you're beginning to see how your spiritual interests and natural capacities might reflect your soul's accumulated experience across lifetimes. These experienced souls demonstrate a crucial transformation in their relationship with past life information, approaching such revelations as tools for service and spiritual advancement rather than sources of ego satisfaction or entertainment. The mindset shift that comes with spiritual maturity allows them to receive soul memories without getting trapped in the drama or identity attachments that can distract newer souls from their current life's purpose. What makes this particularly empowering is understanding that you don't need dramatic regression experiences or psychic readings to recognize past life influences in your current existence. Cayce revealed that the most reliable indicators of your soul's history are actually hidden in plain sight within your everyday experiences and natural inclinations. The decisions your soul made about which abilities to carry forward and which patterns require healing create a roadmap that's accessible to anyone willing to observe their life with spiritual awareness. The journey of recognition begins with paying attention to those unexplained talents that seem to emerge from nowhere. That person who sits down at a piano and instinctively creates beautiful music despite never having formal training. The individual who naturally understands complex healing techniques without extensive study. Or the child who demonstrates advanced abilities that can't be explained by their current education or environment. These represent soul wisdom that survived the forgetting process because it serves their spiritual mission in this lifetime. The impact of recognizing these talent patterns extends beyond personal validation to understanding your soul's chosen purpose. Behind the scenes of your conscious awareness, your soul carefully selected which abilities would be most useful for the spiritual work you came here to accomplish. These aren't random gifts, but deliberate carryovers from skills developed and refined through multiple incarnations of dedicated practice and service. Your deepest fears often provide equally revealing clues about past life experiences that your soul is still processing. The transformation in understanding comes when you recognize that inexplicable phobias or intense emotional reactions to certain situations frequently stem from traumatic past life endings or significant experiences that left deep impressions on your soul's memory. Someone with an unexplainable terror of water despite never having a drowning experience, or a person who feels panicked in historical settings that should be neutral, may be encountering echoes of past life trauma. The hidden truth about these fear-based reactions is that they represent your soul's ongoing healing process rather than permanent limitations. Once you understand the past life origin of certain fears, you can approach them with compassion and conscious healing work rather than feeling victimized. by seemingly irrational responses. The instant reactions you have to certain people, both positive and negative, provide another powerful clue about your soul's relational history and the ongoing karmic patterns you're working to resolve or celebrate. Now, what makes these present life indicators even more revealing is understanding how they work together to create a comprehensive picture of your soul's journey and the specific lessons you've chosen to master in this incarnation. Write in the comments present clues if you're starting to recognize how your natural talents, fears, and reactions might be pointing toward your soul's deeper history and purpose. These talent carryovers work in fascinating harmony with fear-based indicators to create a comprehensive spiritual blueprint of your soul's evolutionary journey. The transformation in understanding comes when you recognize that your natural gifts and your deepest challenges often represent two sides of the same past life. Experiences, carefully preserved by your soul, to support both healing and service in your current incarnation. Think about the decisions your soul made when choosing which experiences to carry forward into this lifetime. Behind the scenes of your conscious awareness, there's an intricate balance between preserving abilities that can serve others and maintaining access to unresolved traumas that require conscious healing. This isn't random spiritual baggage. It's a sophisticated system designed to accelerate your growth while maximizing your potential for positive impact. The hidden truth about this talent-fear relationship becomes evident when you examine how they often cluster around similar themes or time periods. Someone with an inexplicable terror of certain historical eras might also demonstrate natural knowledge about those same periods, or a person with healing abilities might carry fears related to persecution or misuse of spiritual power. These complementary patterns reveal your soul's ongoing work to transform past wounds into present wisdom. The journey of recognition involves understanding that your fears aren't obstacles to overcome, but rather gateways to reclaiming power that was lost or traumatically interrupted in previous incarnations. When you approach your deepest phobias with curiosity rather than avoidance, you often discover that they're protecting abilities or knowledge that your soul is ready to reclaim and use constructively in this lifetime. The impact of this revelation transforms how you relate to both your gifts and your challenges. Instead of taking your talents for granted or feeling victimized by irrational fears, you begin to see both as sacred aspects of your soul's chosen curriculum for this incarnation. Your natural abilities represent skills you've earned through dedicated practice across lifetimes, while your fears often point toward areas where your soul is ready to experience breakthrough and healing. This understanding creates a powerful mindset shift where every aspect of your personality and emotional landscape becomes meaningful rather than random. The intense reactions you have to certain people, places, or situations aren't character flaws or inexplicable quirks. They're your soul's way of highlighting areas that are ready for conscious attention and transformation. The decisions you make about how to work with these indicators, whether to develop your natural talents in service to others and approach your fears as opportunities for healing, determine how effectively you fulfill the spiritual purposes that motivated your soul to incarnate in the first place. Now, what makes this recognition process even more profound is understanding how these patterns extend beyond individual experiences to include the instant attractions and repulsions you feel toward certain people, which often reveal the most significant soul connections and karmic relationships in your current life. Write in the comments, talent and fear patterns if you're beginning to see how your natural gifts and deepest challenges might be connected to the same past life themes and spiritual lessons. These instant attractions and repulsions represent some of the most powerful indicators of soul recognition, operating through a sophisticated spiritual radar system that bypasses logical thinking and connects directly with your soul's accumulated relationship history. The transformation in understanding these immediate emotional reactions comes when you recognize that they're not random chemistry or inexplicable personality conflicts, but rather authentic responses to souls you've encountered across multiple incarnations. Think about the decisions your soul makes when recognizing another soul from your spiritual past. Behind the scenes of your conscious awareness, There's an immediate assessment happening based on the quality and nature of your previous relationships together. That love at first sight feeling, the inexplicable trust you place in someone you've just met, or conversely, the immediate distrust that arises for no logical reason. These represent your soul's instantaneous recognition of patterns established through previous lifetime interactions. The journey of understanding these soul recognitions involves paying attention to the emotional intensity that accompanies certain encounters. When you meet someone and feel like you've known them forever, your soul is responding to authentic familiarity that spans lifetimes. The impact of recognizing these connections transforms how you approach relationships, allowing you to honor the deeper spiritual purposes that brought certain souls back into your experience. The hidden truth about these instant reactions extends beyond romantic connections to include all forms of meaningful relationships. That stranger who immediately feels like family, the teacher whose words resonate in ways that seem to awaken ancient knowledge, or the mentor who appears precisely when you need guidance. These encounters often represent soul group reunions orchestrated to support your continued spiritual development. One particularly compelling example from Cayce's documented readings illustrates how these soul recognitions can manifest through attractions to entire historical periods or cultural themes. A woman had experienced an inexplicable lifelong fascination with ancient Roman history that went far beyond casual interest. She found herself naturally able to understand Latin phrases despite never formally studying the language, and whenever she encountered Roman artifacts or visited museums with Roman collections, she experienced profound emotional responses that seemed completely disproportionate to logical explanation. When Cayce accessed her soul records, the revelation provided perfect clarity for these mysterious attractions. She had lived multiple lifetimes within the Roman Empire, serving as a teacher in that historical period, which explained both her retained knowledge of Latin and her passionate emotional connection to that era. Her soul had preserved not only the linguistic abilities, but also the deep love and dedication she had felt for her teaching role across those incarnations. The mindset shift that comes with understanding these soul recognitions transforms how you interpret your own mysterious attractions to certain time periods, cultures, or areas of knowledge that seem to call to you from somewhere deeper than intellectual curiosity. Now, this brings us to something even more profound about how Cayce understood the ultimate purpose of past life information and why the goal isn't entertainment or ego gratification, but rather recognizing spiritual lessons that can transform your current relationships and daily choices. Write in the comments, soul recognition, if you've experienced instant connections or mysterious attractions that feel like they come from somewhere deeper than this lifetime. This deeper understanding of soul recognition leads us to perhaps the most transformative aspect of Cayce's teachings about past life memory, the revelation that spiritual lessons matter infinitely more than dramatic details about who you might have been in previous incarnations. The hidden truth about past life information isn't found in exciting stories about ancient civilizations or famous historical figures, but rather in recognizing how your soul's accumulated wisdom can guide you toward making more conscious choices in your current daily experiences. The transformation in perspective comes when you understand that every challenge you face, every relationship that triggers strong emotions, and every situation that pushes you to grow represents experiences your soul deliberately chose before incarnating. This isn't about believing in some predetermined fate that removes your free will, but rather recognizing the profound spiritual intelligence behind the circumstances you encounter in this lifetime. Think about the decisions your soul made when planning this incarnation, working with spiritual guides to select exactly the right conditions for your continued evolution. Behind the scenes of your conscious awareness, there was careful consideration given to which family would provide the most appropriate dynamics for your growth, which geographical location would offer the best opportunities for your spiritual work, and even which physical body would serve your soul's chosen mission most effectively. The impact of this revelation completely reframes how you understand difficult circumstances. that challenging relationship with a family member, the health condition that seems to limit your options, or the career obstacles that keep appearing. These aren't random misfortunes or evidence that life is unfair. They represent carefully chosen growth opportunities that your soul recognized as exactly what you needed to master the lessons you came here to learn. The journey of accepting this level of spiritual responsibility requires a fundamental mindset shift from seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances to recognizing yourself as a conscious spiritual being who chose these specific conditions for your highest development. This doesn't mean that all suffering is somehow deserved, or that you should passively accept harmful situations without taking appropriate action. Rather, it means approaching your challenges with curiosity about what spiritual growth they might facilitate. The decisions you make about how to respond to these soul-chosen circumstances determine whether you fulfill the spiritual purposes that motivated your incarnation, or remain trapped in unconscious patterns that prevent your evolution. When you begin to see every difficult person as a spiritual teacher, and every obstacle as a growth opportunity, your entire relationship with life's challenges transforms from resistance to grateful recognition of the wisdom these experiences offer. This understanding creates space for approaching your current life with the reverence it deserves as a sacred curriculum designed specifically for your soul's continued evolution and service to the greater good. Now, this brings us to one of the most documented examples from Cayce's readings that demonstrates exactly how understanding past life origins of current challenges can lead to profound healing and spiritual breakthrough in the present moment. Write in the comments, "Sacred curriculum," if you're beginning to see how your current life challenges might represent soul-chosen opportunities for growth rather than random difficulties. This sacred curriculum concept becomes powerfully illustrated through a documented case from Cayce's archives that demonstrates exactly how understanding past life origins can transform our entire relationship with physical challenges. A man had been suffering from severe arthritis for years, experiencing daily pain that conventional medicine couldn't adequately address or explain given his current lifestyle and health history. The impact on his quality of life was devastating, and he had become increasingly bitter about what seemed like an unfair burden. When he finally sought a life reading from Cayce, the revelation that emerged challenged everything he thought he understood about his condition. The reading revealed that in a previous incarnation, he had been a cruel taskmaster who forced others to work in painful physical conditions, showing absolutely no compassion for their suffering or concern for their well-being. His current arthritis represented his soul's way of experiencing and truly understanding the pain he had caused others, developing the very compassion that had been missing in that previous lifetime. The transformation that occurred once he understood this karmic connection was remarkable, though not in the way most people might expect. His arthritis didn't simply disappear overnight through some magical spiritual healing. Instead, something far more profound happened. His entire relationship with the pain transformed completely. The journey from bitter resistance to accepting understanding created space for genuine spiritual growth that would have been impossible without this crucial insight. The decisions he made after receiving this information demonstrate the difference between intellectual understanding and authentic spiritual integration. Instead of approaching his condition with resentment and self-pity, he began to see his daily experience of pain as an opportunity to develop empathy for others who suffered from similar conditions. Behind the scenes of his consciousness, a fundamental mindset shift was occurring that allowed him to transform his personal challenge into meaningful service. The hidden truth revealed through his experience shows how past life understanding serves its highest purpose, not to provide exotic explanations for current circumstances, but to create opportunities for conscious spiritual growth and service to others. His commitment to helping people with arthritis emerged from genuine compassion earned through his own suffering, making his assistance far more authentic and effective than it could have been from a purely intellectual or professional perspective. The impact of this transformation extended beyond his personal healing to touch the lives of countless others who benefited from his hard-earned wisdom and genuine understanding of their struggles. Now this brings us to one of Cayce's most important warnings about the potential misuse of past life information, and why the goal should never be entertainment or ego enhancement, but rather practical application of spiritual wisdom in service to others. Write in the comments, "Transformed pain," if you're beginning to see how understanding the spiritual purpose behind challenges might change your relationship with difficult circumstances in your own life. This transformation from personal healing to service illustrates exactly why Cayce consistently cautioned people against approaching past life information as entertainment or a source of ego enhancement. The hidden truth about spiritual growth lies not in collecting fascinating stories about who you might have been, but in recognizing the patterns and lessons that can guide you toward making more conscious choices in your present moment decisions and relationships. The journey of authentic spiritual development actually faces a significant obstacle when people become too focused on past life personalities or achievements. Dwelling on memories of being a famous historical figure, a powerful ruler, or an accomplished spiritual teacher can create a dangerous inflation of ego that completely undermines the humility and service orientation necessary for genuine growth. Behind the scenes of consciousness, this kind of identification with past glory actually hinders your current spiritual evolution rather than supporting it. Think about the decisions that truly matter in your daily existence. How you choose to respond when someone treats you unkindly, whether you offer help to someone in need, or the mindset you bring to challenging circumstances. These present moment choices represent the real spiritual work you came here to accomplish, and they're infinitely more important than any dramatic revelation about ancient incarnations. The impact of focusing on present growth rather than past identity creates space for authentic transformation that serves both your evolution and the well-being of others around you. When past life understanding motivates you to choose kindness over judgment, patience over irritation, or service over selfishness, then such information fulfills its highest spiritual purpose. What makes this perspective even more profound is understanding the extraordinary love and wisdom that operates behind the forgetting mechanism itself. Between lifetimes, souls exist in a state of perfect memory and expanded awareness, where they can see all their past experiences, understand every karmic pattern they've created, and clearly recognize the lessons they need to continue learning. From this elevated perspective of complete spiritual clarity, they make conscious choices about their next incarnation. The decisions made in this expanded state of consciousness include not only selecting life circumstances, family dynamics, and major challenges, but also determining exactly how much past life memory to carry into that new incarnation. This represents one of the most sophisticated expressions of divine love and wisdom, the recognition that too much conscious memory of past mistakes, failures, and traumas would prevent most souls from approaching their new life with the hope and enthusiasm necessary for continued growth. The transformation in understanding comes when you realize that forgetting isn't a limitation imposed upon you, but rather a gift, consciously chosen by your own higher wisdom in collaboration with spiritual guides who understand exactly what level of memory access would serve your highest good. Now, this brings us to something that might completely change how you view your current circumstances and challenges: the recognition that every limitation you experience is actually creating unlimited potential for spiritual growth and service in ways that complete memory could never provide. Write in the comments, "Present moment, wisdom," if you're beginning to see how focusing on current choices and growth might be more valuable than seeking detailed past life memories. This unlimited potential emerges precisely because the forgetting mechanism protects you from the paralyzing weight of accumulated spiritual baggage. Imagine the impact on your daily mindset if you carried conscious memory of every mistake you'd made across centuries of existence, every relationship that had ended in betrayal or heartbreak, every traumatic death you'd experienced, and every moment of suffering you'd caused or endured. The transformation you're meant to achieve in this lifetime would become virtually impossible under such overwhelming psychological burden. The decisions your soul makes about memory protection represent sophisticated spiritual psychology that understands how consciousness works most effectively. Complete memory of past failures would create paralyzing fear and discouragement rather than the hope and enthusiasm necessary for continued growth. Think about how difficult it can be to move forward from mistakes in just this one lifetime. Now multiply that by dozens or hundreds of incarnations filled with human imperfection and learning experiences. Behind the scenes of your conscious awareness, this protective forgetting creates space for approaching each new day with fresh possibility rather than being crushed by the weight of eternal regret. The hidden truth about spiritual evolution is that it requires optimism and willingness to take risks, qualities that would be nearly impossible to maintain if you remembered every time courage had led to suffering in previous lifetimes. But here's where the divine intelligence of this system reveals its true sophistication. While specific memories of past events remain veiled from your conscious mind, something far more valuable survives the transition completely intact. The wisdom you've gained through countless experiences, the love you've learned to express through relationships across lifetimes, and the spiritual insights you've developed through dedicated spiritual practice, these essential qualities remain fully accessible to your current consciousness. This explains those moments when you encounter someone who seems naturally wise beyond their years, demonstrating remarkable understanding of life's complexities, despite having relatively easy circumstances in their current incarnation. Their soul has retained the deep wisdom, earned through multiple lifetimes of experience, while being protected from the specific traumatic details that could overwhelm their capacity for continued growth. The journey of recognizing this retained wisdom in your own life involves paying attention to those moments when you somehow know how to respond to situations with compassion and understanding that seems to come from somewhere deeper than your current life's learning. That inexplicable ability to comfort someone in grief, the natural understanding you have of complex emotional dynamics, or the spiritual insights that emerge during quiet contemplation. These represent your soul's accumulated wisdom, expressing itself through your current personality. The transformation in understanding this principle changes how you view both your own capabilities and those of others around you, recognizing that everyone carries within them the distilled essence of multiple lifetimes of spiritual learning. Now, this brings us to a particularly fascinating aspect of Cayce's own spiritual journey, and how even he initially struggled to accept the revolutionary implications of his own psychic revelations about reincarnation. Write in the comments, "Retained wisdom," if you've noticed moments when your responses or understanding seem to come from somewhere deeper than your current life's experiences. This recognition of retained wisdom becomes even more remarkable when you understand that Edgar Cayce himself initially struggled with the very concepts his readings were revealing. Despite being the conduit for thousands of past life readings, Cayce was deeply resistant to receiving information about his own previous incarnations because it challenged his fundamental Christian beliefs about death and the afterlife. The transformation in his understanding didn't happen overnight. It required years of confronting undeniable evidence that emerged through his own psychic abilities. The journey of acceptance became inevitable when the consistency and accuracy of his readings made denial impossible. Behind the scenes of his conscious resistance, Cayce was being forced to reconcile his religious upbringing with the spiritual truths that emerged whenever he entered his trance state. The impact of this internal conflict was profound, as he struggled to maintain his faith while acknowledging realities that seemed to contradict everything he'd been taught about the soul's journey. When Cayce finally allowed his guides to share information about his own past lives, the revelations were both humbling and illuminating. The readings revealed that he had been a high priest in ancient Egypt, where he had misused spiritual power and caused harm to others through arrogance and self-serving decisions. This hidden truth about his soul's history provided perfect context for understanding his current lifetime's work as a humble healer who freely offered his psychic gifts to help others without seeking personal glory or financial gain. The decisions Cayce made after receiving this information demonstrate the practical application of past life understanding at its highest level. Instead of being crushed by guilt about ancient mistakes, he used this knowledge to approach his healing work with even greater humility and dedication to service. His current life's mission represented his soul's conscious effort to balance past misuse of spiritual authority with selfless devotion to helping others heal and grow. This brings us to the most practical guidance that emerges from all of Cayce's teachings about past life memory and spiritual evolution. The mindset shift required for daily application involves paying attention to your natural talents as indicators of skills developed across lifetimes, then finding ways to use these abilities in service to others rather than personal advancement. Examining your deepest fears with curiosity rather than avoidance often reveals areas where your soul is ready for healing and breakthrough. Noticing the strong reactions you have to certain people, both positive and negative, provides insight into ongoing karmic relationships that offer opportunities for conscious growth and pattern transformation. Trusting the dreams and insights that emerge during quiet, receptive states allows your soul's wisdom to guide your present moment choices toward greater love, compassion, and service. Now, what makes this practical approach so powerful is understanding how every single day offers countless opportunities to choose spiritual growth over unconscious reaction, and how these seemingly small decisions actually determine whether you fulfill the sacred purpose that motivated your soul to incarnate in the first place. Write in the comments, "Daily practice," if you're ready to begin applying this soul-level understanding to make more conscious choices in your everyday life and relationships. These seemingly small decisions actually determine whether you fulfill the sacred purpose that motivated your soul to incarnate in the first place. Every moment you choose patience over irritation, understanding over judgment, or service over selfishness, you're actively participating in the spiritual evolution that spans lifetimes. The transformation happens not through dramatic spiritual experiences, but through countless daily choices to express the wisdom your soul has been developing across multiple incarnations. What Edgar Cayce revealed through his 14,000 documented readings is that you are far more than the personality you see in the mirror each morning. You're an eternal soul carrying within you the accumulated wisdom of many lifetimes, perfectly equipped for the spiritual work you came here to accomplish. The fact that you can't consciously remember your past lives isn't a limitation. It's evidence of the divine intelligence that designs each incarnation for maximum growth potential. Understanding this changes everything about how you approach your relationships, your challenges, and those mysterious moments when something deeper than logic guides your decisions. You're not here by accident, struggling with random difficulties or blessed with meaningless talents. Every aspect of your existence has been carefully chosen by your own soul as the perfect conditions for your next level of spiritual development. If you've stayed with me through this entire exploration of Edgar Cayce's profound insights, you're clearly someone who recognizes the deeper currents running beneath the surface of ordinary life. The content on this channel is designed for people like you, souls who are ready to understand the spiritual mechanics behind human existence and apply this wisdom to create more meaningful, conscious lives. I'd love to have you join our community of seekers by subscribing, because we regularly dive into these transformative spiritual concepts that can genuinely change how you experience your daily reality. If this resonated with your soul's deeper knowing, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps more people discover these life-changing insights. And if you made it all the way to the end, write in the comments, "This message was meant for me," so I know you're part of our spiritual family here. There's a video right here that complements this topic perfectly, exploring how to recognize your soul's specific mission in this lifetime. Click and continue with me over there. Your spiritual journey is just beginning to unfold in the most beautiful ways.